Thank you very much. So my name is Frida Lundmark. I work at LEAF. That's the trade association for the research-based pharma companies in Sweden. So we have around 100 members, so a majority of the big pharma companies, but also maybe around 20 national SMEs as well. So I'm very happy to talk to you about the industry perspective of both precision medicine, primarily of course, but also some perspective around precision medicine and clinical trials. Because pharma industry and the life science area is a key area also for Sweden. The pharma industry represents around the third biggest export category in Sweden. So the importance of life science and the precision medicine is of course key. So just to start off, we had some big news last week from the government, and Kristina mentioned that the energy and industry minister, and also the vice, she's also the vice prime minister in Sweden, highlighted ATMP as one of the key areas. Very, very good and very important. But what was also very important last week, that the government also presented their updated life science strategy with new updated goals. And precision medicine is still a key priority for the government, and that means also that we hope that there will follow investments in that area, and that goes also, of course, in line with what Helena told us yesterday about the university hospital regions gathering together to make sure that we have an efficient roadmap of implementing also precision medicine. That is very much in line with the needs and the ask from the industry. And what's also highlighted in the updated life science strategy is that cross collaboration are essential for success. And I hope that you, as the international guest, gets a flavor of that. Many of the initiatives that we are working on in Sweden are true collaborations between both academia, healthcare, and industry and patient organizations. So I think we should be proud of that. So if we are looking from an industry perspective or a company perspective, the precision medicine is really a key to the Swedish life science and Swedish life science system. So many of those components have been highlighted through the presentations both yesterday and today. But I think we should really emphasize that the need of collaboration and the collaborative environment in Sweden is really key, and also a true success factor for being in that position that we actually are today. But we, of course, need to develop that further. And I think these kind of meetings, and also to leverage up on the European level, is very, very important to be able to sort of get the maximum potential out of that. From an industry perspective, both the development of new medicine, but maybe even more important, the implementation and use of the new medicines and new diagnostics that sort of comprise the whole precision medicine system is very much reliant on an excellent healthcare, but also an innovation-friendly and innovative-driven healthcare. And I think, Helena, you really put the spotlight on that yesterday, and that is sort of the key aspect also that the industry are looking for. We need to be, and the companies wants to be, where the excellent healthcare is and where the excellent healthcare meets the excellent science. And I think, Anna, you gave a really nice presentation showing also how we can use that in a policy perspective also to sort of get those two parts together, and how to sort of both drive the clinical science and the medicine science, but also in how to actually implement that and make use of that for patients. The multimodular diagnostics, Janne, that's your favorite. And from an industry perspective, in how the companies now are developing their medicines, the use and the access to multimodular diagnostics is really key, both to be able to do the clinical trials, but also to be able to sort of implement and actually use the new medicines, especially when you're going into combinatorial medicines, as you were talking about. That would be really, really important. And I would say that the access to SciLife Lab and other research infrastructures in Sweden makes this a really hotspot to be able to do both the medicine development in terms of drug development in the companies, in combination with the true molecular technology development in terms of diagnostics. companies and combine those. And to be able to show how that also can be done in healthcare is really, really good and excellent, and a way also to be able to attract the companies to want to be here to do the drug development here. Access to health data, yes, we have some issues. Helena described some of them yesterday, but we also have a very good potential, and there is a lot of important initiatives also from the government. There is an ongoing investigation on how to develop and implement the national data infrastructure for healthcare that also, I hope, will serve the need from industry. So being able to use the full potential of the Swedish health data will, of course, then being able to take the next step in both in terms of implement precision medicine, but also to drive the development of new diagnostics and new medicines. And the adaptation of a regulatory framework to foster innovation. That is, of course, very important on the national level, but with an upcoming new pharma legislation at the EU level, that will be even more important, because we know from the data, there was a report from FP and IQVIA a couple of weeks ago showing that, for example, the number of clinical trials is rapidly decreasing all over Europe. And the majority of the new clinical trials, they are performed in Asia or United States. So we do have a joint challenge to make sure that we increase the competitiveness at the EU level and make sure that we as a nation is a top EU nation. Because the number of new medicines, if we look at the number of new medicines developed, 20 years ago, around 50% of the new medicines had their origin in the EU. But as of today, it's 20%. And that means also that the majority of the research and innovation investment from industry is not going to Europe. It's going to be in other, it's going at the present to other countries. We need to make sure that we are the best region in the world to attract the investment also from the private companies. But as you see, this is a cohesive system that we need to work both from the early research into clinical implementation, but also from the policy perspective all the way to the patient. And this is, I think precision medicine is a good way to describe sort of the whole life science system and the different components that is of importance, both from healthcare perspective, but also from a company and industry perspective. And I would say that those components is also to be described as success components to be able to conduct clinical trials, for example. So why is then precision medicine a key area also for the pharma companies? Yes, I would say that from our perspective as an industry organization working with a whole range of different companies, working both with ATMPs, as Christina talked about, but also maybe not the really advanced ATMPs, but also still the small molecule drugs. Precision medicine is of importance all the way through the system and the healthcare system. And I think it's very clear that the implementation and development of precision medicine is a true collaborative effort. We need to do it in collaboration between healthcare, academia, and industry together. And maybe in 10 or 15 years, we will not talk about precision medicine. We will talk about healthcare, and the precision will be sort of a directing or a gradient throughout the system that will be present in the whole system. Maybe today it's about, we talk a lot about the cancer and the rare diseases, but the complex diseases gets much more of a precision medicine component, and the high prevalence diseases, of course, the stratification and being able to subphenotypes, even those, is also a part of the precision medicine in time. So I think this is very important from a company's perspective, that the precision medicine is sort of has a place throughout the system, and that also means that the common diseases in some way will become rare diseases, and that the granular diagnostics, the multimodular diagnostic, also will get the possibility to a bit more of a personalized treatment. So this is very important for the companies. And it also so that the drug development has changed quite a lot during the last 20 years. Many years ago, I worked in the preclinical global R&D at one of the big pharma companies in Sweden, and that was a true closed activity. We never spoke to anyone about what we were doing. That was company internal for sure. Today, the collaborative environment is completely different. The majority of the preclinical work that is done within the pharma companies is done in collaboration with academia or small or medium SMEs. And that means that we as the global pharma companies are reliant on that we have an ecosystem that fosters collaboration and being able to interact and collaborate cross-sectorial to be able to identify and develop the new medicines. And that also means that from a precision medicine perspective and the drug development, and also, of course, the development within healthcare relies on several different pillars. So it's both the diagnostic parts that is really important to be able to find the right patients for clinical trials, but also to be able to implement and use the new medicines in an effective way. That needs to be done in collaboration between industry and healthcare and academia to make sure we have the infrastructures in place, that we have the organization in place, but also the financing, the reimbursement models. How are we investing in those kind of infrastructures that supports both the research environment, but also the healthcare environment, and fosters the possibility to also implement and use the innovations from industry, both in terms of pharma companies, but also medtech companies. So I think this is, from a Swedish perspective, we need to have the ecosystem in place to be able to do this kind of collaborative work, and to do this. I realized that I missed one of the levels. The EU level should, of course, been here, of course, since this is a truly local activity, but it's certainly a regional activity, national, but we need to do it much more also on the European level. And I think we need to find also the way to share how we are working as we are doing today, but also to better implement also the way of working from other countries into the Swedish system and vice versa. So Jannis has talked a lot about the multimodal analysis, so we don't need to go even further into that. But I think this is a really key success factor to be able to put Sweden in a really top position in terms of driving the development of precision medicine. The access to SciLife Lab and the way of implementing those kind of technology breakthroughs also into healthcare. It's not easy. Päivi, you know a lot about it. It's not easy to take those new breakthrough technology into healthcare. But when we succeed to do that and find the pathways and the processes to do that, that will be really key to sort of take the next step. So clinical trials is, of course, one really key component in the development of new medicines, but also a key part in the development and implementation of precision medicine. From an industry perspective, this is, of course, clinical science and clinical research. From a healthcare perspective, maybe the industry-initiated clinical trials can be regarded as healthcare. They are really part of the healthcare, but they should be even more integrated in the regular healthcare and be seen as a potential treatment alongside other treatments when it's that is of interest. But as you see, the different components to be able to implement and make sure that the clinical trials is seamlessly integrated into healthcare, they are more or less the same success factors that we do have for precision medicine. It's a lot of different puzzle pieces that needs to be put in place to make sure that we have a predictable and efficient system to be able to increase clinical trials. We have seen for a number of years a decrease in the number of clinical trials in Sweden, maybe not for ATMP, so that is why that's the spearhead. But in general, we have a decrease in clinical trials, as we do see all over Europe. So we're very happy that the government has initiated a number of both investigation to the MPA to set a new structure and a partnership for clinical trials in close collaboration between healthcare, academia and industry, but also to make sure that we do have, for example, access to more granular statistics. As of today, we don't really know how we are doing within clinical trials. We know the number of applications to MPA, but the performance of the clinical trials we need to have a better understanding of. So I do hope that we can use the work that we are doing within the ATMP area that Kristina is talking about to put that as a spearhead, because I think it's very obvious that for a small country as Sweden, we can't be the best in all the different types of clinical trials. But with the type of collaborative environment that we do have, the access to the really advanced technologies and an innovative and data-driven and excellent healthcare, we do have the possibility and the potential to attract the really advanced and the complex clinical trials to be performed here, to have that as a specific area to highlight as a top nation within clinical trials. And I think precision medicine, if we are succeeding to have a really efficient implementation of precision medicine into healthcare in terms of both diagnostics but new medicines, we have a really good potential also to be able to attract more of the private investments to Sweden and to Europe, to make sure that we use all our different competencies from academia, from industry and healthcare, to make sure that we have an excellent and vibrant, innovative climate. So just to give you, this is more or less the same picture that Kristina showed, but in another way. In all of those big national and regional collaborative initiatives going on, we do it together. And it's very clear that we are able to work very close between industry, healthcare and academia. And I think that is really good, and something that we should really take care of and make sure to develop and use even better. Because being able to develop the new medicines and to develop the new diagnostics, we as companies are reliant and really need to be able to work in close collaboration with those initiatives, both the ATMP centers, the genomic medicine centers, the proteome work, and also the biobank and other kind of national infrastructures. We need all of them in place, and we need to make sure that the industry and academia and healthcare can work really close together and have the prerequisites to do that in place. So I think we are in a good spot. So just two examples of public-private partnerships between healthcare and industry, apart from those that Kristina showed for ATMP. We have, for example, with the precision medicine centers here at Karolinska, established a collaborative platform that is also with the aim to implement and accelerate implementation of precision medicine in healthcare, and we are now discussing how can we help to horizon scan, for example, new molecular methods that is needed to be able to perform the upcoming clinical trials and take care of the new medicines, because that is of course not something that you can think of when the feasibility comes from a clinical trials. That needs to be in place a long time ahead. And also a long-term collaboration agreement between LEAF, that's as an industry organization, and GMS, also to facilitate and put the framework for industry collaboration with GMS to make it a bit easier to outline what we have agreed on that we can collaborate around and what we're not. And one example what we actually do in line with this agreement is that we are now developing a feasibility portal for clinical trials based on genomic data, for example, to sort of leverage and be able to do a bit more complex feasibility calculations to prepare for clinical research and clinical trials. So that's a concrete example, for example. So, thank you. Now you are really want me to show.